Hi, I'm Ashley and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to go through my entire physical TBR and we're going to find out exactly how many unread books that I own. And I want to say that I don't own too many unread books, but then again, I think I might have more than I think I have. So we're going to find out today exactly how many I have. So first I'm going to start with going through my bookshelf and pulling off all the unread books that are on my bookshelf. And then after, I'm going to gather more unread books from other places in my apartment, like piles on my floor. And then I'll go over each unread book that I own. So I just grabbed all my unread books from my bookshelves, and there was at least one unread book on every shelf, so that's not boding well. Now I'm gonna go grab unread books from my floor. So this is my little pile on the floor, so I'm gonna grab the unread books from here. There's some manga here. This video is not gonna include my unread manga. So here's the pile of all my unread books, and there are a total of 40 here. And it's not that great, but it could also be a lot worse. So now I'm going to go through each book one by one to show you exactly what books I have in my unread pile. So the first pile I have here are all my unread Fairy Loot books. And I had Fairy Loot for about a year. And it's been about a year since I canceled it. And one of the reasons I canceled it was just because I wasn't keeping up with reading the books. So I still have 6 more Fairy Loot books to read. And those books are The Coldest Touch, Princess of Souls, Twin Crowns, Violet Made of Thorns, The Darkening, and The Ones We Burn. And I don't know when I'm going to be reading these, probably just whenever I'm in the mood for them at this point, but that's those. Also, I have one other Fairy Loot edition, though I didn't get this one during my subscription. I ordered this one separately. And that's Heart of the Sun Warrior. And I got this one in the Fairy Loot edition because I have the first book in the series in the Fairy Loot edition. That one is right here, Daughter of the Moon Goddess. And this is just gorgeous, so I had to have Heart of the Sun Warrior in the same edition. And I knew it was also going to be gorgeous, which it is. So the next pile I have here are all the Throne of Glass books. So I read the first 2 in this series last year, and I still have to read all the others. I was planning to read them in the summer, and then I just never got around to it. But I bought all of these this year because I bought the first 2 last year, and usually I don't like buying a book series all at once, just in case I don't like it. So I usually buy them book by book. But the reason I bought all of these is because since the new covers came out, it's getting really hard to find the old covers, which are the ones I have here, and I prefer the old covers to the new covers. So I bought them all before I couldn't get them anymore, because if I didn't get them now, then when I finally went back and read the series, I would have been sad because I would have had to get the new covers, which I don't like as much. So the next 2 books I have here are 2 Folio Society edition books, and they are House of Many Ways and Castle in the Ear, and they're both by Diana Wayne Jones. So she did Howl's Moving Castle, which I have that one right here. And then all 3 of these books my husband got me for my birthday a couple years ago, and while I read through Howl's Moving Castle, I still got to read through these 2. And the next 3 books I got here are some fantasy romances. So this one is From These Dark Depths, and is the second book in a pirate trilogy. And the 3rd book came out this past August, and I'm waiting for that one to come in the mail. This one is the Fae Crate edition. And I also have the first book in the Fae Crate edition as well. And I read this one last year, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. So I am super excited to read the second one and the third one when I get it. And I definitely recommend checking out this series if you like pirate books. So the second book I have in this pile is a book from one of my favorite series, and it's A Soul of Ash and Blood. And this is part of the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer Armentrout. And this is a retelling of the first book from the main male love interest point of view. And I really want to read this. I just have to figure out when I'm going to read it in my life. Because clearly I have too many books to choose from, and just new books keep coming out and my TBR just doesn't end. And then the third book in that pile is also a book from the From Blood and Ash universe, and that is A Soul of a Soul. And that is A Light in the Flame. And this is the second book to the series that is the prequel series of From Blood and Ash. So I just realized something. I was sitting here and I was gathering all the spooky season books that I failed to read this past September and October, and I realized one was missing. So, and then I'm like trying to find it, and I realized there are two other books that also I haven't read that are just scattered around my apartment because I'm chaotic like that. So now we're actually up to 43 unread books. Oh, update, I just found that book that was missing. It was in the pile of books that my microphone is currently sitting on. So, and that book is My Roommate is a Vampire. So I planned to read this last month and just did not, because I forgot that October always goes by so fast for me because I usually go to an anime convention then. So I usually spend like a week on that stuff, anime convention stuff, and then I don't get as much reading done as I usually do. But yeah, so this one I still have to read. I might end up reading it this month in November, but I'm not really sure, so we'll see what happens. And the second book is A Multitude of Dreams, and this one is a gothic fantasy, and it just came out this year, and I picked it up the last time I was at Barnes & Noble, and I was going to read it last month, but then I just did not. And then the third book, a witchy book, Big Little Spells. So this one I talked about in my book haul video that I did not too long ago. And this is the sequel to Small Town Big Magic. And this series is a cozy witch series. It takes place in a town that feels like a magical star is hollow. And I realized that since it's been like a year since I read this one, I really wanted to reread the first one first before I hop into the second one again. So again, it's just a matter of finding the time to read these. Alright, so I said I wasn't going to include unread manga in this list, but I am including graphic novels. So Over My Dead Body is a graphic novel that I was going to read last month and just did not. And this one apparently takes place at a school of witchcraft. And then another one also about witches is Hooky. And while the previous book seems like it has more spooky vibes, this one just seems like it's going to be cute and fun and cozy. And one final book that I was going to read during the fall, which technically still is fall, but for whatever reason, whenever October ends, I'm like, oh, it's end of fall, but really there's not because there's still Thanksgiving. But anyways, Maple Sugar Crush is a book that takes place in a town that is the epitome of fall. And this is the second book in a series, and the first book was Pumpkin Everything, which I did read this year back in August when I wanted fall vibes. But at this point, I might just end up saving this one for next year. Maybe I'll read it at the end of summer again when I'm tired of summer and want fall vibes. So the next pile I have here are some new releases that came out recently in the last couple of months. So the first one is Cassandra Clare's new fantasy book, Storycatcher, which came out last month. And the second book is Throne of the Fallen. I feel kind of silly for having this because I haven't read Kingdom of the Wicked yet, and that's supposed to be like a spin-off of this, but I also heard you could read this without reading that, but I also heard if you want to read that, you should read that first because there's spoilers in this or something. But I literally bought this because of the cover being pink, and this is a Barnes & Noble edition, and I ordered it on their pre-order sale way back in the springtime, so now I have it. This was definitely a cover buy, but also I did read the description before buying it, and it does seem like a book I'm going to enjoy, so here we are. Again, I might not read this until next year because I'm thinking I should probably read Kingdom of the Wicked first. And then the third book in this pile is my most anticipated book of the year, and this came out last week, I think. I have like no sense of time anymore. Yes, it was last week. And that's A Curse for True Love. And I was going to pick this up this week, but then I decided I really wanted a day where I didn't have anything else to do and that I could just sit down and read this in its entirety, because it's going to be one of those books where I'm just not going to want to put it down once I start it. So I'm actually planning to read this next Tuesday because I have nothing going on that day, so I'm literally just going to sit down and read this all day. And I really can't wait. And I really need Jax and Evangeline to have their happy ending, because if they don't, I'm going to be like heartbroken. So the next pile I have here is the one that I call the books that have been on my bookshelf the longest. So I actually, oh wait, there's one that I'm forgetting about. I gotta grab it right here. So I actually had to go down to the basement to get 2 of these. Those 2 are A House of Night novella, Dragon's Oath, and The Beast Player. And then the next one is Geekarella, which is by Ashley Poston, and I don't know why I haven't read this yet because I love the other 2 books by her that I've read, which I just read The Dead Romantics last month, and I read, I don't know, last year or the year before, I read her other YA fantasy that's somewhere around here. Here we are. Among the Beasts and Briars, which I also really enjoyed, so I should get on reading this. And then another one that I'm a little scared to read is Pride and Prejudice. And I have this fancy edition that came from LitJoy that's gorgeous. But I have watched the Netflix version of this with Keira Knightley, and I really enjoyed it, so I don't know why I'm so afraid to read this. But I'm going to make it a goal to read this in 2024. It's going to happen. And then, though, the book that I'm most afraid to reading because of just all the hype that surrounds it and how like so many people seem to love it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've heard so many things about this book, and I really want to read it, and I'm hoping I'll love it, but there's always that small chance that I won't, so I've been just like putting it off. But again, like Pride and Prejudice, I'm going to make it a goal to read this one in 2024. And the next 3 books are books in a contemporary romance series, and they are 3 books in the Bromance Book Club series. I read the first 2 this year. The first one I really enjoyed, but the second one I loved, so I immediately picked up these when I saw them on Book Outlet. And I have one more stack to go through. So the next is another graphic novel, and it's the first graphic novel in the Mortal Instrument series. So I've read these books in the book form by Cassandra Clare, but I also have the graphic novel, and I just haven't read this yet for whatever reason. The next book is the 3rd book in a middle grade fantasy series, and it's the 3rd book in the Crowns of Crossfold series. And this series follows a girl who learns she has magical powers and she goes off to magical school, so it's kind of reminiscent of Harry Potter. And then the 3rd book is classic, and it's Alice in Wonderland, and it's this pretty pink edition. And I've actually never read this before in my life. I've seen the movies, but just haven't read the book, and I really liked this edition, so I picked it up. And the next book is a book that I picked up at Barnes & Noble the last time I was there, and that's The Bear and the Nightingale, and this one sounds like it'll be perfect for winter. And another book that sounds like it'd be perfect for winter is the middle grade book, The Frost Fair. And then the last 3 books I have here are Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun, which is the 3rd book in the Finlay Donovan series, and I really loved the first 2, so I'm hoping I'll love this one as well. A Magic Steeped in Poison, and this is a fantasy book with tea magic, which sounds very interesting, and this was on sale at Target at one point, so I snatched it up. And the last book is the Tea Dragon Festival. And I've read the Tea Dragon Society, and I think that one is very cute and heartwarming and adorable. So I bought this one, which is supposed to be a companion story to the Tea Dragon Society. And I don't know why I haven't read it yet, because it's definitely an easy and fast read. But I guess that's just how it goes sometimes. Hello, Editing Ashley here. So as I was editing my video, I realized I actually left out a book that I haven't read yet. And that book is this book right here, Sea Sparrow. And this is the latest book that came out last year in the Graceling series. And I still haven't read it, but I totally recommend this series because it's one of my favorite YA fantasy series. But yeah, so that brings my count up to 44 unread books. So that is my entire unread physical TBR and all the unread books I own. Let me know if you read any of these and if I need to read any of these like right away because they were awesome. Just let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for joining me on this kind of chaotic video. And until next time, bye.